Hi, I'm Brian DiLeonardo, and I'm the state's attorney for Carroll County. Normally, I'm in the courtroom prosecuting crimes, but today, I'm returning to high school. That is because today is not about trying to convict someone of a crime, but instead it is about trying to save futures, save lives. Heroin use has more than doubled over the last decade among those age 18 to 25. Heroin is a highly addictive drug with often deadly results. As serious as heroin use has become, that is only part of a larger drug addiction problem we face. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, you are twice as likely to become addicted to heroin if you have an addiction to alcohol. You are 3 times as likely to become addicted to heroin if you are addicted to marijuana. You are 15 times more likely to develop a heroin addiction if you are addicted to cocaine. And most shocking, you are 40 times more likely to become addicted to heroin if you are addicted to prescription painkillers. Frankly, most don't start with using heroin. Most that become addicted to heroin never expected to end up there. But as you can see, all of these drugs make it far more likely that you will end up there. Last year in Carroll County, 32 people lost their lives as a result of heroin or prescription painkiller addiction. Hundreds more people addicted to heroin, painkillers, and other drugs flooded the emergency rooms and packed our jails. Who are these people that are dying? What kind of people end up in jail from committing crimes to feed their addiction? There are many faces of drug addiction. They are people no different from you and me. They are mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, best friends. Some of the young people that have died were star athletes, Eagle Scouts, honor roll students, or members of the band. Sadly, drug addiction does not discriminate, and it is very unforgiving. You will now hear one story of the painful consequences of drug addiction. While tragic, it is sadly not a unique story in this county. That is why, if you know someone that is addicted to any drug, encourage them to reach out for help. Together, we can make sure that our next video is not about someone you know and love.
I'm Beth Schmidt. I'm a mom from Carroll County. I'm the mother of 3 sons, Sean, Alex, and Eric Schmidt, all graduates from Liberty High School.
Well, I'm Alex Schmidt. I'm the middle boy.
I'm Eric Schmidt. I'm the youngest of the 3.
Sean loved baseball.
Yeah, we'd play catch and things like that every once in a while. But I mean, we were never on the same team just because of the age difference. But I remember going to all his games when I didn't have a game and vice versa. So.
Very artistic and very, very talkative, and everybody's friend, even when he was little. I didn't know anything about heroin. I didn't know anybody who ever used heroin. So I guess I did talk to him about some of the drugs, and this is one that he assured me that he would never use. Little did I know the reason why he was assuring me of that is because he had already started using.
It was very surprising just to know that, I mean, we always learned about it in school, but it's not something that you ever think about actually happening with your family.
So he ended up moving out after his senior year, in the summer of his senior year.
When I first noticed that he was using heroin, he was living at his girlfriend's house at the time, and he came home over one day just to visit and say hi. And he was always a really skinny kid, but he just looked really, really skinny and didn't look good at all.
He did get in trouble at one point in time, and he ended up going to Junction, and he had to go to Junction for a couple of classes after school, and I kind of thought that was, that was it. It wasn't going to be a lifelong thing. So finally, I guess the straw that broke the camel's back was he came to the house and he told me that they had been using heroin. He started with pills, he and his girlfriend, and he received these pills from an adult, from a parent that I knew, from a parent that I trusted.
It was definitely a shock to me, because honestly, one of the things I can also remember most when I was little is that around high school age for him, he would always tell me he was like, the one drug you never want to do is heroin, and that really kind of stuck with me.
Now we need to work on saving your life, because this isn't, I told him, you don't see a lot of old heroin users, and there's a reason for that. What he had been doing is he had been using daily for 4 months. I don't know exactly when the heroin took over from the pills. So then we finally got him into inpatient. He was accepted into a 28-day program where they ended up keeping him for 11 days. He fought for his life very hard for that 11 days. Tested again at the outpatient, and she looked at Sean and she said, and it was for opiates, so we don't know if it was heroin, we don't know if it was Suboxone, we don't know what it was. And she said, you know what this means, don't you? And he said, yes. And she looked at me and she said, and you know what this means. And sorry.
Yeah, I remember it like it was yesterday.
So I was home at the time, and I remember the trooper came to the door.
I went about the rest of my evening. I went to the gym like everything was fine, and I was actually still in my gym clothes when the police officer showed up. My youngest son was there.
He knocked on the door, I opened it up, and then I was like, are your parents home or whatever? So I went and I got my mom, and then brought her to the door, and then she sent me to do something upstairs.
So he asked me if I wanted to sit down, and then he started to say something.
I knew he was asking some kind of questions. It could have been anything, Sean was arrested or something.
He said, are you sure you don't want anybody else here when I tell you this? And I said, hold on a second, do I need to have somebody else here? So he said, yeah, I suggest that. So I got a hold of his father.
I got a text from my dad saying you need to come home now by yourself, and I knew it was something serious.
And then he let me know that he had responded to an EMS call in Mount Airy. I still thought my son was in jail or that he was in the hospital. He had responded to an EMS call in Mount Airy, and there was an overdose. And they had taken him to Frederick Memorial Hospital just because it was closer, and that they were unable to revive my son.
I was upstairs in the bedroom, and I just heard my mom this blood-curdling scream, and she was like, no. And then I rushed downstairs, and I was like, what happened? And she told me the news, and
one of the EMTs was young and worked on him for over 55 minutes. They shot him with Narcan. Maybe 2 or 3 times. But it was too late.
And I just remember walking inside and everyone was in the kitchen crying because of what happened. But I wasn't there when the trooper came.
It was the biggest shock. Yeah, and then it was just me, my mom, my dad, and we were all crying, and then he walked through the door, and there was 4 of us. So
even with all of his struggles and his battles, never, ever, never did I actually think that I would lose my son to a heroin overdose. He got to be 23 for 2 days.
Probably the first thing I'd say was, I'd say, I can't even say it. Happy birthday, because it all happened 2 days after his birthday, and I never got the chance to see him, to tell him. And that was really just the first thought to my mind when it all happened, was I didn't even get to tell him that. But we do miss him, and of course we wish he was still here.
You know, it's time to do what you need to do so that you can live the life that you deserve to live. And unfortunately, he didn't get that chance, and he was the 13th kid between the 2 high schools in our area to die within that 13-month period. On this list that I share with me when I talk, and I want kids to realize they don't want to be on this list. The first time I spoke, this list was only this long, and it just continues to grow, and I don't want it to grow anymore. So that's what this list represents, is a straight A student, a football player, my son. There's at least 30 on this list now. And Sean hasn't been gone for a full 2 years yet. And he didn't want to be that person. He drove kids. He drove them to rehab. Some of those miles that I was accusing him of, he actually was driving other people to rehab, I would find out later. He would drive them to meet their probation officers. You know, Sean helped everybody, but in the end couldn't help himself.
The high is not worth losing your life or hurting everyone around you. It eventually takes over. It's no longer something that you want to do. It's something you have to do.